So Fuji cult members protect themselves from the cult leader by wearing silver underwear with zero autofocus abilities, and the cult leader can't even find them in the darkest nights. Today we talk about the allure of Fuji. Why is it, even though they perform so terribly at times, you can't put them down?
All I want is the perfect camera. All I want is the perfect camera.
Oh my god, it's a sign. It's a sign I have to make the switch. It's a Sony Trinitron. As the Fuji exposes so brilliantly. Oh, I want it. So we're doing a little experiment today. We're on the Fuji X-T4 with the 14mm Tony 2.8, which is, in my experience, the worst autofocusing lens for the system. Not only is it loud and crunchy, it loses you. And I find this whole camera loses me on every lens, if I'm outside at least. In the studio, you got another ball game on your hands. So pay attention if the autofocus loses me, turning, or whatever. Just does it stay on me? We're in Eterna, and then I will switch to manual focus just because this is a manual focus clutch lens. And then we'll go to F-log, and the glory will befold us. Befold us? Will it? So what am I missing here? The Fuji X-T4 has some of the worst autofocus for vlogs. We'll see. You'll see it today. Most likely it's switching constantly, even at 2.8. The worst auto exposure stepping you've ever seen. It's just like it's boom, 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 like machine gun bullets. The IBIS, while certainly not Panasonic level, is decent with the digital, which is what we're on now. But for the most part, it's pretty jerky, and it's not great with every lens. So all the areas I need a vlogging camera to excel in, the Fuji just performs poorly in, yet I still reach for it. Why? There's a lure, a siren song of Fuji lust in the oceans. Part of the lure is the colors, the Fuji colors, the Eterna profile of life. It works. It just works. And the F-log, the dynamic range, it's pleasing. Highlight dignity. Everything about the image quality looks good, so you deal with it. If you could just manually focus, actually, let us do a little switch. Let's switch it up to manual focus and F-log for the increased dynamic range. Let's get in the scene with lots of it needed. Right here. Here we are. Let's switch. Oh my god. Oh, we're no longer clipping anything. F-log confirmed. That was actually pretty easy to focus if I nailed it. Did I? Right here. Should be good. I see peeking on the shirt. That's where you want it, because that's on the same plane, clearly. Oh, I don't know what I'm doing. But now say you lock the exposure here. You just solved two of the major problems of a Fuji camera. It's no longer going to step autofocus, and it's not going to hunt. It's just, and the dynamic range should be good enough if I hit the shade. This is not super unpleasing. I noticed a lot of people commented when I reviewed the Nikon Z50 versus the X-T4, and the Nikon just ramped up exposure for the face when you hit the shade. I thought that was a good thing, but most people don't like it. It blows out the highlights and it does look a bit unnatural. When you go into shade, you should get a little darker in the shade. It's gonna happen in about 45 seconds. Is that so bad? That's how a vlog should look. That's how the Olympus performs. It's great, actually. Fantastic. But notice how I'm trying to justify the Fuji camera? It's a cult grabbing, and you can't leave it. You want to leave it, and the cult leader's like, yeah, go ahead. You can leave anytime. But then you're like, I don't want to leave. I'll do whatever you say, master. You know, I'm thinking of selling this lens. Oh, I don't know. It's kind of beautiful. I might not sell it. Now that's a bit dark. That's a bit much, Fuji. Let a little light into your heart. So there's other flaws as well, like there's no custom modes. It's very annoying to switch between things. I wish we could do that, just slow-mo on a dial. But there's no dials, there's the number dials. And even those are kind of annoying. I gotta set them both to custom, and then I can use the dials. If you turn that thing off in the menu that says, oh, don't, just switch to the dials, then the exposure comp dial doesn't work. It's just a screwy system, the whole thing. You can't switch settings easily. There's nothing easy or fun about this camera for videography, yet here we are. Here we are, we got a much more capable Olympus EM1 III at home, sitting on the shelf. Most people preferred the Panasonic G9 when I compared it to this. It was more stable. Some people liked those colors more. Everything is subjective. We know nothing. But that Fuji, what is it? It can't just be the colors. I'm noticing an F-Log to Eterna LUT doesn't look like Eterna. I do it wrong. You lose some magic. I want to switch back so bad. Let's do it. I'm in Eterna bleach bypass. There's zebras everywhere. I'm clipping hard. This profile can't handle direct sunlight, yet I'm filming in it anyway. This looks good. This is just good times. I seriously wonder what this mode is for. I know there's a couple movies, that 300 movie. It was a good movie. It was pretty good. Don't try to autofocus, you're in manual focus. I find this, the ProNeg Standard, to be the only one other than Eterna that looks like really good. This is pretty good. We'll stay here for a bit and then return to Eterna, our love. But what is it about the Fuji system? I think it's just the colors and the dynamic range, and that's it. It's the only reason, because we put up everything else as a negative. The flippy screen, it's nice. It's not the nicest one. Let's switch back to Eterna, because I think all these other profiles don't have the same dynamic range Eterna does even. Now it's about the same. It's about the same. I see zebras in the head of the alien. That's a problem. If Fuji could come out with a couple Kaizen updates to just improve the autofocus so you don't see faces in the trees. I think that's Fuji's main problem. They don't know what a human face really looks like. They just keep seeing it everywhere. It's like, that could be a face. It's like, no, that's a block, a square block. Whereas Sony or Canon, they latch onto you and they never forget. And Canon now, when you turn, they remember you. We're in manual focus. Remember that, bitch. And then it's just a matter of updating the lenses. And why? Why did they update? They're gonna update that 27mm 2.8. That's the first lens they make a Mark II of. That's the last lens on Earth I would have upgraded. What about the 23 1.4, all those 1.4 primes? We're back in F-Log, and I removed digital stab. I like to just switch things up in the middle of the video, test things for myself. I'm on the wrong ass street. I'm looking for that tree I found to go work out at. It's not on, I can't find it. So even though I can still return this, I'm still within my return window at Camera Canada. They're so generous with their return window time. I could get an R6 or a Sony a7S III, whatever that's gonna be. I can't decide right now, but one of those is likely better than this, yet here I am in a cult-like membrane status. I need to learn more words. I definitely need to learn more. But man, that Canon R6 at home with the 35-21.8, for sure, fantastic. Outside, if I adapt the 24mm 2.8, that would look good. And they are coming out with that same lens for RF mount, probably lighter, image stabilized, macro even, so I can zoom in on my face. Manual focus, take that life. If the Sony has improved IBIS, they have a bunch of amazing lenses out here, better dynamic range, a new flippy screen, autofocus, and never loses you. Better cameras, but I don't want to let this little guy go. It all hinges on these new lenses. I ordered that Samyang 12mm Tony 2. It should have arrived yesterday. We would have been filming on it, but it's late. It got delayed somehow. And then Viltrox is sending me a couple, hopefully, and a weird one. So like, if those lenses perform better, I could see myself staying here. And then we wait for the R7, and the Sony A7S4. How are they naming it the 3? Get real with yourself. I found my tree, so I don't know. I could see myself staying in the system, being pretty happy with it. I like those f2 primes, but they focus breathe so much. That 35mm especially. I wonder if the 50mm is worse or better. I like the 23mm. I might do a video on what the perfect focal length is for YouTubers. It matters. Oh, I've contemplated it hard. So, the glory befolds us. Manual focus, manual exposure. You can't say no to it. You just can't. So, I'm gonna leave. What do you think? Is there a Fuji cult? Is every camera company a cult? Because you spend so much money on the camera and the lenses, you feel like you have to just defend them. People get real upset. So, I understand it. I'm gonna leave. Thanks for buying it. Camera Conspiracies t-shirt. Subscribe for more videos and I'll see you in the next one.